Now, I want to kind of explain for a moment why we felt it necessary to call a press conference. But quite obviously, you know, being workers of the Postal Service, being the letter carriers, we've been hearing a lot of things coming out lately in the media. We, of course, understand and know what we marched and rallied for on September the 27th, the passage of 1351. Since that time, there's been two bills that have come out of Congress. One, H.R. 2309, which was released from committee by the head of committee and the co-author, Darrell Issa. We all know who Darrell Issa is, right? Okay, great. And of course, Senate Bill 1789. Now, briefly, you know, 1351 would adequately address the needs of the Postal Service at this time. Of course, we've been hearing a lot of proposals put forth by the Postal Service, and these are proposals that are drastic, that are radical, but they're also unnecessary. We understand that to a certain extent their hands are tied, but again, you don't grow your business or attract more business by killing the business. You know, we are the United States Postal Service. You don't take the service out of the service for the sake of saving money, because in the end, the Postal Service is not going to realize the savings that they're talking about. They're going to drive away more customers. They're going to need more cuts. And before we know it, the Postal Service will no longer exist.
Yeah.
At the present time, the two bills I referred to, H.R. 2309, would hasten the Postal Service demise. I mean, it was just basically put together to dismantle the Postal Service, ultimately leading to privatization. It would allow the Postal Service to cut 120,000 jobs. It would allow the Postal Service to immediately void their contracts. It would allow the Postal Service to go to five-day delivery and close more post offices. Again, killing the service. Bill come out of Senate 3 weeks ago, out of committee, 1789. Now, this has been billed as a bipartisan effort. This bill, too, is a poison bill. In it, it allows the Postal Service, I explained to you all at the last meeting, it would allow the Postal Service to go to five-day delivery within 2 years. That's the intent. It's not that the Postal Service, you know, miraculously turn around and they can maintain 6 days. Senator Lieberman stated that its intent is to get us to 5 days within 2 years, and by 2015, in door-to-door delivery. A lot of the public does not realize this. No more door-to-door delivery. You either have curbside delivery, a cluster box on your corner, or a P.O. box. It would effectively, again, diminish the service. The Postal Service, with its hands tied, has put forth proposals which are likewise unacceptable. To be quite frank, the Postmaster General, you've heard my feelings about him, do not appreciate or understand the mandate of providing universal service. Once we get these bills, once we get the Postal Service fixed, Congressman, I think we need a new postmaster as well. The Postal Service ideal on how to save the Postal Service is closing post offices. We've seen over the years, and we've heard our customers complain about the Postal Service removing these mailboxes off the corners. Now they're proposing to close post offices. Over 200 post offices in the state of Illinois alone. In fact, Illinois has the distinction of having the most post offices cited for closure. Among them are 14 in Chicago alone. All of them on the west side of Chicago, and at least one in your congressional district, Congressman Jackson, over in Riverdale. The Chinatown Post Office, Inglewood, Ogden Park. At the same time, as I mentioned to you all several meetings ago, the Postal Service came up with this idea to save at least $3 more billion. They said that they want to relax the standards. Slow down mail service. In this age of instant technology and instant communication, snail mail is about to get slow. Do that make sense? No. They're trying to kill our service. If not through these bills, it's by this misguided postmaster, and we're not going to sit still and we're not going to take it. Just as we hit the streets on September 27th, if it calls for us to hit the streets again, we will hit the streets again. Now these bills, if they somehow miraculously make it out of Congress, I don't believe 2309 stands a chance to get out the House. But if 1789 in some form or fashion makes it to President Obama's desk, we're calling for our friend, our brother from right here in Chicago, the one who we supported 2 years ago. We knocked on doors, we made phone calls, we walked up and down the street to help get our friend President Obama elected. He is still our friend. We still support President Obama, but we need him to be our friend right now. We need him to veto or kill any bill that would damage or harm the Postal Service in its present tense. This is a great American institution. And look, we're not talking about getting on no buses and going to D.C. We got letter carriers in D.C. too. They can take care of Pennsylvania Avenue. We're going right here on Greenwood in Hyde Park, and we're going to make some noise, and we're going to march, and we're going to rally, and we're going to send a message to our friend, President Obama, that he needs to hear us. He needs to support us. He needs to be with us at this time, because we know that no bill makes it into law unless he put his signature on it.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, letter carriers. I see so many friends out there. I was a special delivery messenger for almost 30 years, so I see a lot of friends. Well, let me say today that we're here as the American Postal Workers Union. I represent the clerks, motor vehicle, and the maintenance craft. But here today, I want to let you know that we all are postal workers and we must stand together. The first thing that I agree with Matt on is that the postmaster should not wait to retire or wait to resign. He should go now. The Postmaster General needs to come out and say something positive. Every time he comes out, he's talking about doom and gloom. He's sending the wrong message to American people. We are not close. Right now, they are trying to seek from the Advisory Committee of the Postal Regulatory Commission to eliminate next-day delivery of first-class mail and periodicals. Let me just say this. If they eliminate one day with the carriers, don't you think that affects us too? It's a domino effect. We're not in this thing by ourselves. If you stop one day of delivery, then you stop one day of processing the mail. You stop one day of motor vehicle moving. You stop one day of the maintenance guys moving the machine, operating on the machine, or cleaning the post office. Dismantling the postal service and processing and distribution network will devastate the mail service, damage the economy, and drive customers away. Do we want to see right now that the post office got a sign saying gone fishing? Are we closing? Are we going out of business? But these are the kind of messages that are sent every time the postmaster come out and say, we're going to eliminate this center. We're going to eliminate the postal service. In Chicago right now, how do black folks get to the post office if it's not one in their community? A lot of us don't have a car. We cannot go to another station where several miles away. This is not possible. So when you're cutting those stations, you got to look at what they cut. They're cutting stations based on revenue. We know we don't make the revenue that Hyde Park make. We don't make the revenue that Lincoln Park make. So why are you putting it on revenue? We are a service, and all the network in the service stands by itself. We have a lot of bills, well not a lot of bills, some bills that are coming out of Congress right now. But unfortunately, there are some bills that are currently pending in the House and the Senate will result in drastic cuts to the network and the service. The immediate cause of the U.S. postal financial crisis is a mandate to the Postal Accountability Enhancement Act of 2006 that requires the Postal Service to pre-fund the health care benefit for the future retirees. No other government agency or private company bears this burden, which costs the Postal Service approximately $5.5 billion annually and forces the U.S. Postal Service to a 75-year liability in just 10 years. In addition, the Postal Service has overfunded its pension account. The Postal Service has overpaid into the federal employees retirement system by more than $11 billion. The Postal Service has overfunded the civil service retirement system by billions of dollars. Someone argued with the fact, is it 50,000 or 50 billion or 70 billion? I say to you, I don't stop the fight. Just give me my 50 billion and we'll be able to survive. To save the U.S. Postal Service and protect the mail service of the American people, Congress must address the fundamental issues. The Postal Service Protection Act would impose strict standards for delivering first-class mail and require the Postal Service to make a better business for closing and consolidating facilities. It would eliminate the retired pre-funding mandate, allow the Postal Service to recover the overpayment made to its pension plan, permit the Postal Service to generate revenue by providing certain non-postal service and protect the 6-day delivery. I stand with you, I'm with you, we're all together, we're all postal workers. Greg calls me the same thing, we're all in the system. So I stand together with you. Every day that Mac go out, I'm going to be out. Every day we march in Greenwood, I'll be there. APW is with you all the way. Thank you very much.
At this time, we're going to ask Rich Coleman to come up on behalf of the mail handlers and say a few words.
Good evening, letter carriers. How you doing? I know we've done better, we felt better when we know the people are doing right by us. And when they're not doing right by us, guess what? We assemble together in unity, the carriers, APW, and the mail counters, which I represent. I want to thank you for asking me out tonight. I truly am with you anywhere that you need me to be, want me to be. I will be there because you need us and we need you. So with that being said, I want to thank Mac Julian for inviting me. I want to say some prepared words. I don't want to be redundant of anything that's been said today, but everything that's been said today is very, very, very important to all of us in this room and even those that are not present in this room at this time. I want to say that the Postal Service customers need and deserve first-class mail. And they need it the way they've always expected to be, overnight. They don't need to wait. They need to have it when they need to have it. The Postal Service is critical to our economy, delivering mail, medicine, and packages on time and at an affordable price. That's what we do. That's what we do. No company can grow or even maintain commitments to eliminate overnight delivery of first-class mail. Change the next delivery, why is that? Because now you want us to fail. You want us to be as any other entity in the United States. What the media has been fed by the Postal Service is erroneous and so wrong. We don't receive one dime, let me go back, 1 penny from taxpayers. Everything that we do is generated by our hard work and the products that we sell. Hear me very clearly, because I talk to you as my co-workers, but I talk to the American public more so than you, because you already know what I'm about to say. Closing mail processing centers and cutting service is penny-wise and pound-foolish. Reducing the scope of quality of service will not restore the Postal Service to health. It would likely drive mailers away and therefore worsen the Postal Service in the state that we have it already today. Closing post office facilities and reducing mail volume will cost jobs, cut off rural communities and make it harder for some small businesses to grow. Downgrading service would be devastating to our economy. The Postal Service is at the heart of a $1 trillion mailing industry that employs over 8 million American workers. No other business or government agency bears such a burden of having to pay $5.6 billion a year for health care and services that some employees would receive from these services who have not even been born yet. Think about what I just said. Have never even been born yet. What company would ever mandate something like that on them to be burdened with? Nobody. The United States government knows the right thing to do. President Obama knows the right thing to do. And I stand with you today to let you know that even though it looks cloudy, it looks gray. One day real soon, the sun is going to shine.
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rich. You know, Rich raised a very important point because as the Postal Service, as we've seen over the past week, has been going around trying to do a little spin control, a little damage control, trying to mislead people, telling that they're not intending to cut service. They've already told us of their plans, and their plans this spring is to cut service. And we don't need a bailout. We're not looking for a handout. We're just asking for our damn money. Over $50 billion in overfunded pensions. Right now, I was at the hospital yesterday with our sister, Shauna Rainey, and I get a phone call on my cell. And I look, and it's Congressman Jackson. He said, Mac, I hear you all got some things going on there tomorrow, and I'm trying to get back into the city. He said, I want to address the letter carriers. I want to talk to your members. I want to let them know that I'm fighting for them. I want to let them know that I got their back. So if it's possible, either by telephone or in person, I want to be there. That's not even a question. By all means. Could we all stand right now, give a warm Branch 11 NALC Postal Worker welcome to our friend, the Congressman of the 2nd Congressional District, Mr. Dec.2011.wmv.
I think I hear representatives of Omega Psi Phi. Let me first begin by expressing my appreciation to Mac Julian for that kind and generous introduction, for allowing me to participate in tonight's event with NALC Branch number 11. Well, let's give Mac a great round of applause. Let's really hear it for him. Come on, everybody. It's wonderful to see so many faces that I recognize from your early and yearly visits to our DC office advocating for the letter carriers. I would be remiss if I didn't say this was a sad week in Illinois for former Governor Blagojevich and his family. His misconduct tarnished our state. And after President Obama won his election, I was interested in serving as your senator. During that time, I only did that which was legal, that which was ethical, and that which was appropriate to express my desire to serve the people of this state. In fact, today I'd be in Washington as your senator fighting for postal workers. And doing everything within my power to have Barack Obama become re-elected president of the United States. Postmaster Donahue's recent proposal, which will result in the loss of 28,000 postal jobs, as well as reduced standards for first-class mail, is unacceptable. Postal jobs are not make-work jobs. They are necessary jobs that individuals, families, and businesses have come to rely on to deliver our mail in the heat and in the cold, through the rain, the sleet, and the snow. Furthermore, with continued levels of unemployment our nation is currently facing, we need these jobs, not another 28,000 Americans unemployed. Congress has made proposals that can help keep the Postal Service functioning at current levels. Much of the problem the Postal Service is currently facing is a result of the pension and health care prepayment. The U.S. Postal Service is the only federal agency required to act in this manner. Rep. Lynch has authored legislation with a fix, and I'm a co-sponsor of this legislation along with 227 other members of Congress. As you know, the United States Postal Service's Pension Obligation Recalculation and Restoration Act recalculates the USPS's surplus in the Civil Service Retirement System with regards to the cost of pensions of the Post Office Department and the U.S. Postal Service. My colleagues and I have also written letters to express our outrage at the proposed closures of post offices and efforts to break labor agreements with postal employers and employees in our district. These proposals are in the wrong direction, and I stand with you. Congressman Bobby Rush stands with you. Congressman Danny Davis stands with you. Congressman Reese Gutierrez, the entire Illinois Democratic delegation stands with me also. On a final note, I'd like to discuss the franking privileges that members of Congress use, which allow us to send mail to our constituents and to conduct official business. Members don't use FedEx or UPS to deliver their mail to their constituents. All franked mail is sent by the Postal Service. If we did use FedEx or UPS, much of our mail would not be delivered. In many small cities and rural communities throughout our districts, these private companies rely on USPS to deliver their mail to these communities. Now, if the Postal Service is good enough for members of Congress, then we have to conclude that the service you provide is good enough for all Americans all over this country. We need to maintain this high level of service across the United States of America. I pledge to continue to support Postal Service workers here in my district and around the nation. Your jobs and the multitude of services that you provide to everyday working American families are critical and worth being protected. While I don't want to take up too much more of your time, I do want to conclude on the note of faith. I know it looks dark sometimes. But faith is something right through here, my friends, we all have to hold on to.
Yes.
It's something that I've learned to focus on in the deepest and darkest hours of my public existence. I spent the last 2 weeks in the month of August in Israel with my children at the Sea of Galilee, where a little preacher along with 12 disciples began a ministry that laid the foundation for changing the world. They were up against almost everything around the Sea of Galilee. There they confronted the ominous nature of the Roman Empire, its big old government, its big old Justice Department, and yet with the message of love and caring and redemption. The message from the Sea of Galilee would lead to crucifixion and ultimately to resurrection. Faith is something that each of us has the power to hold on to, even in the darkest of hours. Watch this, NALC. I've long since stopped believing in things that weren't impossible. I believe in impossible things. Walk with me. I believe in a man proposition. But here on the eve of Christmas, I believe it. faith tells me that it's so. I believe in someone who gave sight to the blind, who healed the sick, who walked on water, who healed a woman with her issue of blood. Who without cataract surgery gave sight to the blind. Who was crucified and on the third day rose from the dead. Friends, if I can believe in all of that, and that's impossible, then I believe that the Congress of the United States and the President of the United States can make the postal workers in our nation whole. I believe that we can put 25 million Americans to work. I believe that we can end this crisis. We need to stop complaining about what we don't have, use what we got, register people to vote, regain control of Congress, and demand that they fix this problem and save our postal system. Thank you, and God bless you. I believe
all that we can to save the Postal Service. So at this moment, on behalf of Rainbow Push Coalition, we give a warm introduction to Bishop Travis Graham.
Come on, workers, make some noise. I said, postal workers, make some noise. Somebody said, ready to work. Say, ready to work. You can't take my job because I'm ready to work. Come on, clap for yourselves tonight. Come on. I want to thank Brother Julian for allowing us to come. We are in this fight because this is a fight worth fighting. We've never lost a fight unless we fall. You can't claim to be able to take Pacquiao out if you don't fight him. That's for all the Mayweather fans. You can talk fight, but fight don't happen at press conferences. Fights happen in the ring. And I believe in this fight. I have never had a time in my life where I don't know of a postal worker being in my life. I've been knowing postmen and post ladies all my life. Like my third grade teacher, like my Sunday school teacher, like my first pastor. I can't imagine a day out of 6 where I didn't run into my letter carrier. Somebody that I trusted, somebody that I believed in. I'll never forget growing up in the projects, my mother we had a couple of our checks stolen. And we had to sit outside and watch the mailbox. Y'all act like y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all ain't always had the job you got right now. You can remember red food stamps, green food stamps, government butter and cheese. Come back to me in powdered milk. Some of y'all all be thankful you ain't got to go back to that. God has brought you a long way. You do. That's why you got this job, so you wouldn't have to go back to that lifestyle. And I'll never forget Mr. Jones, who was our postman. He said, as long as this is my route, bet nobody ever break into your mailbox. And he delivered the mail for us, come hell or high water, rain, sleet, or snow. We could count on him. He was almost like family. And so when we think of people sitting in these ivory towers in D.C. talking about cutting your job, it's like messing with our family. Because you do more than deliver boxes and letters and packages. You build communities. You buy houses. You sustain
paying jobs. You don't act like what I'm talking about. You send children to college. You pay taxes. You pay tithes and offerings. Say amen, somebody. You are not just a job. You are a service. And when I took this job on behalf of Reverend Jackson, I let him know, don't invite me to nothing where I can't fight. I came tonight to let y'all know the fight is on, and we ain't gonna stop. We're gonna keep marching. We're gonna keep demonstrating. Where the workers at? I said, where the workers at? Get on your feet. Where the workers at? Where the workers at? Somebody holler, you can't take my job. Because I do it too well. 6 days a week. I'm the most reliable service in the whole wide world. Not Verizon, but the United States postal worker is the most reliable service in America. Give yourselves a round of applause. The fight is on. I said the fight is on. I said the fight is on. And somebody scream.
Hey, look, y'all, while y'all standing on your feet, stand up one more time. Now, when Congressman Jackson left, you all know I was just reminded by Leach Foster I should have done something. You should have gave them a letter carrying chair. So everybody who spoke tonight, you take this back to Congressman Jackson. We got the film rolling. Let's give Congressman and everybody who spoke tonight a letter carrier chair.